Right then guys, welcome back for another video today. Today's video is going to be a beginner's guide to caring for a leopard gecko. Leopard gecko is a very common first reptile, so I'm going to run through all the basics. Hope you enjoy. So first off, let's talk about the housing. You can house them in vivariums, which is a wooden vivarium just like this. You can also house them in tubs like this. You can handle them in faunatariums. Anything like that is perfectly fine, provided you add all the proper requirements that they do need. This one, or these two, are 3-foot vivariums, only because these two are show animals, pets. That's all they're going to be. We do keep 3 in tubs, and they're our breeders. We keep them in tubs because it's more hygienic. We can empty that out, sterilise it dead easy. And these two are 3-foot vivariums. They're 1.5 foot deep and 1.5 foot tall. Leopard geckos are not arboreal, so they don't climb up too much. They can climb a little bit if you give them a bit to climb, but they don't climb up too much. Inside the vivarium, there is some deep requirements. A vivarium should have a hot side and a cold side, because they are cold-blooded animals and they do thermoregulate their own body temperature. So if they want to be a bit warmer, they'll come over to the warmer side. If they want to cool down a little bit, they'll go further down the cooler side, and they do it quite well. That's how they do it in the wild. Now, they come from places like Afghanistan, Pakistan, up in the Rocky Hills and that sort of areas, so they can easily get out, get some heat, get back into their little caves and burrows. Now, they need 3 hides inside their vivarium. A hot hide, which is on top of the heating source, whatever that is. Should be a cold hide down the cold side of the vivarium, and a moist hide in the middle. You can put sphagnum moss, cocoa fibre, anything moist under there, and that aids humidity in that hide and helps with shedding. Let's get on to temperatures. Now, on the hot side, I have mine set on a thermostat between 89 and 91 degrees. That is 31 degrees centigrade, 91 Fahrenheit, that sort of temperature. I've got mine on a heat mat. You can heat it up with either a heat mat or a ball. Heat ball, that is. But no matter what, you should always have a thermostat, just for safety reasons. Always better to be safe. They're not cheap, but they are safe. That's that basically. They do like to dig. I'll give them a little bit of dig stuff. I would not recommend, if it's your first reptile, to use a loose substrate, not until you know your husbandry is spot on. So paper towels, tiles, anything like that is perfect. Once you've got a bit more used to them, you know your husbandry is correct, you can start introducing a loose substrate. Substrate is the reptile world's way of saying bedding, the floor in the vivarium. Right then guys, let's talk about leopard geckos themselves now. Now, you get leopard geckos in all sorts of colours, whatever colour you want you can get it. I would highly recommend staying away from your big supermarket stores like Petco, PetSmart, Pets at Home, and go direct to breeders. Breeders tend to be a lot better. This one here, that's one of mine. He's our male breeder. That's Mac. He's a super snow male. He's the super form of a Mac snow. Then we have Millie. Yeah. Another different type of colour for you. We have Donna. She's our Blazing Blizzard female, one of our female breeders. She's got beautiful eye patterns as well. Some leopard geckos have different eye patterns. And we have our final one, This one was a rescue, and this is another story. We don't know any genetics on this one. Now, safety for leopard geckos. Let's go through that. I will use Millie. She's our most hand-tamed, so I can show her off a little bit better. But there's Millie. Now, see that tail? The fatter, the better, really, within reason. If you do grab that tail and pull it, if it gets scared, worried, or sick, it can drop that tail. That tail will fall off. Now, with leopard geckos, it's not a massive issue. Just if it happens, keep the wound clean, very clean. Take out any loose substrate, just go onto paper towels and stuff. Just keep it very clean. It will grow back, but it will not grow back the same. It will look like that. Just a little regenerated ball. It's called a regenerated tail. That one didn't happen in my care. That's one of the reasons why it was rescued. It happened, it was ill when it dropped its tail. That was the reason it dropped its tail. But he's put a load of weight on now, and he's getting a lot better. Now, another good reason for a moist hide in the middle of the vivarium, the humidity, it helps them shed. As reptiles, cold-blooded, they shed their skin. And leopard geckos are quite unique. The majority of the time, they eat their own shed. It adds a load of fibre into their diets and proteins. And they always go into the moist hide, the humid areas, to help them shed, and it always works. You must have a humid hide for that reason alone. Leopard geckos shed, and they could get little bits of shed stuck on the end of their toes. That will restrict the blood flow through to the toes and eventually drop the toe off. Toes will not grow back, so keep them nice and moist hide straight in the middle of the vivarium. If you do see a piece of stuck shed, it's not uncommon to see it, but if you do see it, just a cotton bud, Q-tip, moist, warm water, just gently rub it and it comes off nice and easy. Now, what they eat, let's get on to that. They eat, as adults, I feed mine locusts. Now for those people that go, I'm squeamish of bugs, you do get used to them 100%. Make sure you've got a decent pair of pliers, forceps, tweezers. If you're that scared, you can get a big set of tweezers. That is a locust. That's what I feed my adult geckos. Now I put them in a tub with a load of salads and basically feed the insects healthily. So when you feed them to your leopard geckos become healthy. If you want to know more about gut loading your feeder insects, I'll put a link up in the description up here. You can also feed mealworms. That is a great supplement. It's a great staple for their diets. You can feed Moria worms, which are basically just big scaly worms. That again is for the adult mainly. You can go for crickets. If you are squeamish of these bugs, mealworms, you don't need to touch them, you can just tip them in the bowl. Everything you feed to your animals needs to be dusted in various powders. Out in their native country, they get all these nutrients through the general climate, so they don't need to be substituted out there. Calcium powder, Nutriball, that's what I use. Dust every single feeder insect with that stuff, give it to your animals. If you don't, your animal is high risk for metabolic bone disease. If you want to know more about metabolic bone disease, do your research, Google it. There is so much information out there. It is deadly, so for a couple of quid, it's definitely worth the money. They are a nocturnal species, so they come out at night. They sleep through the day. You only really see them around at night time. You can get them out through the day, like I have just now. Just so I'm going to go around and do a big clean. UVB lighting. That's a debated subject within leopard geckos. They do not need it. I am going to try it. All of my leopard geckos have never had UVB lighting. I'm going to try it. I'm going to put 2% UVB in all all of the vivariums just to see if it makes a difference. The UVB will make the leopard gecko's body absorb calcium a little bit more, so that's the only real reason I'm doing it, just a bit of added safety. And then it puts a light in the vivarium as well, so I can see things a bit nicer and tart it up a little bit. This is inside Millie's vivarium. Actually, it's got water bowl, a bit of a plant, cold hide, moist hide, a little bit of a bridge, likes to hide under there, calcium dish, mealworm dish, hot hide, and over that back corner is where she goes to the toilets. Nice and simple. This is getting an upgrade within the next week. But that's the general setup for a leopard gecko. Right guys, I do hope you found that very informative. I do hope you've taken something from it. If you do have any questions, just leave them in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to let you know. From me and all my leopard geckos, have a good day.